India Bar Examination. So today, as a best methods for AIB, in this session, we'll be discussing about how to prepare effectively and efficiently for the examination, how to navigate answers in an open book examination within the limited time period. Last but not the least, we'll discuss about the overview of importance of criminal laws under for AIB examination. So yeah, and this session will be followed by Q&A where the attendees may ask their questions by writing them down in a Q&A tab, and the speaker will address the same. So today, as a guest speaker, we have with us Mr. Deepal Goel. He is the advocate at Delhi High Court. So it's a pleasure to have you on a webinar, sir.
Same here. Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to join you all as well. And good afternoon, everyone who have joined and listening to me and bearing with me for this session. Thank you all for
Thank
joining in.
uh, Yes, we all are pleased. So before I begin our session today, let me introduce our expert. Mr. Deepal enrolled at BAR in the year 2016 itself. His expertise in the criminal prosecution cases. So currently he is associated with Mr. Mohit Mathur. He is a senior advocate at Supreme Court of India. He assisted Mr. Mathur in several high-profile cases, such as defending Mr. Dayanidhi Maran in appeal against their acquittal preferred by CBI, representing Sahara India in their tax prosecution. So I believe we have a lot to learn from you. And before we start our session today, we would love to hear your experience with law and your journey so far as an advocate. Over to you.
Uh, sure. Thank you. Thank you, Anu. So as you all have been informed that I cleared my exam in 2016 and enrolled the very same year. So not much of an experience, just 4-year experience. But just like you all, while facing this exam, I was quite scared, despite the fact knowing that this is an open book exam. So I am here today to share with you all that there is actually nothing to worry. It is an exam. You do need to be prepared. You do need to be focused, but there is actually nothing to be worried about as such. If you have paid attention in your classes, if your very basic funda, I would say, are clear, I think you will clear this exam very comfortably. So yes, shall we start with the course subject then?
Yes, please.
So first of all, as you know that this is an open book exam, so level of difficulty reduces then and there itself compared to I won't even call it as a very difficult exam. Even your board exam is much more difficult with this because you don't have any access to any book, and the only tool that you have is your own knowledge, is your own mind. But you can have assistance of your books. So we must understand what is the need of this open book examination first. See, in a courtroom, a lawyer is not required to have everything on his tips. For that purpose, they can always place their reliance on the books, bare acts they can carry along with them, the judgment they carry along with them. But the lawyer must be aware of what is the law and where to find it. And where to find it is the most important question, because the court is flooded with so many of cases, and if the lawyer is not aware that where to find the question, it is going to take time. So AIB exam is not testing your understand knowledge, your which the understanding of the section, not concerned with the knowledge that what sections you remember. No, it is irrelevant. This exam is purely for the understanding purpose, whether you are conceptually sound, do you know your law, and do you know where to find your law. So keeping that in mind, let's move ahead. So syllabus, first of all, let's start with the syllabus. AIB exam consists, the syllabus comprises of 24 subjects, out of which 17, I believe, are the major acts that mostly are covered in all law colleges, irrespective of the college. So 17, these 17 acts has to be your primary focus. Secondly, exam pattern. It is an offline exam. You will be having a question paper, an OMR sheet, and a rough sheet. Secondly, it will be the question pattern will be multiple choice questions, 100 questions, and time to finish it off is 3 hours and 3.5 hours. So that is equal to 210 minutes. That is equivalent to 2 minute 10 second for each question to answer, which is a very good amount of time. This time, uh, this in different other competitive exams, for example judicial exam, this number is very low, less than minutes sometimes. So comparing considering that also, this exam is very easy going exam. Third thing that for our benefit is no negative marking, so you can try all the you can try all the questions without any hiccups. Fourth, as you are aware, is for it's an open book exam, so you can so it's an open book exam. And fifth point that to consider is that you are required to score 40% and above to clear this exam. So third thing that we need to take care of is the materials that you can carry along. First is your bare acts, second is your notes, and thirds are your reference books. Though I will not recommend you to carry reference books, it's a extra luggage that you will be carrying and absolutely of no use, because it might come in your subjective exams but not in MCQs. Those MCQs are mostly direct questions and all the answers are already there in the bare acts for you. So won't recommend you to carry your reference books. And third thing, and the fourth thing in this point is you are not required to carry your electronic gadgets. So I'll recommend if you can keep your electronic devices such as calculator and mobile phones at your homes. Sorry. And so yes. So next thing we have to take care about is the aim. So aim of an exam is to score 40%. Rank is irrelevant. The score you want is irrelevant. The primary target is 40% of scoring is 40%. That is 40 questions out of 100 questions. So as I told you earlier, there are 17 subjects that are main subjects that have been taught to us. Just like, for example, Constitution, CRPC, CPC, evidence, transfer of property. So these main subjects I'm talking about. I did some calculation, and these questions are about carry a weight of about 60. These questions make up about 63% of the question. So there are 63 questions that are coming from these major acts. Plus, you can say there are about 3 to 4 questions on judgment based. So effectively, we have about 67 to 68 questions that we can answer. We are in a position to answer. So these 67 to 68 questions should be our primary focus. Now, keeping that in mind, out of 67 to 68 questions, we have to score 40 questions right. Now tell me, isn't your task cut down to almost half? And suddenly this question, this whole exam pattern suddenly seems to be easy. So now if I divide the 68 questions to 40 with the time limit, we have suddenly 3.5 minutes per question in our hand, which is a very good amount of time. So there is nothing to worry. So far, just relax, approach the question uh, very smoothly. So moving on, the next thing that we should be aware about the types of questions that are being answered, that are being asked in this question. So first type of question is section based. This question we can divide in two parts: purely section based, where you will be given certain thing and we will be asked what is the section. For example, which section of the IPC the murder is defined. So answer should be 299. Second type of question that will be asked are little conceptual, I will say, but they are really, in respect of particular section. For example, if we talk about what all documents are required to be filed along with the police report, let's say, in a CRPC. So you must be aware that this question is relating to the police investigation under the police report, that is section 173. So this kind of awareness is definitely required on all your part. Third type of question that is asked is conceptual based, though where they'll be testing, where the question paper will be testing your conceptual abilities and understanding those concepts. So in under this kind of head, you can be asked about a certain illustration from a particular section, or for example, they can talk about sections. Let's say they can also ask you what concept is mentioned under section 6 of the Indian Evidence Act. So the answer would be res geste for you. So these kind of awareness you must be having to answer this question. And the fourth type of question that will be asked are judgment based. Third type of question is time based. For example, which Indian Evidence Act was enforced in which year, for example. So you must be aware that where you can find the date of enforcement of a particular act, which is the first page after the after the index, and at the beginning of the particular act on the top corner. Fourth type of question that they usually ask about is are judgment based. Now those judgments can be old cases but landmark cases, or the recent celebrated cases. So you need to have a prepare a list of all the landmark judgments that you are taught, whether belonging to Constitution or from the Indian Penal Code or from CRPC, whichever. But mostly, in my experience, I believe that these questions are mostly from the Constitution itself. So focus primarily on Constitution only. And the recent question of, sorry, not the questions, but the recent judgments. For example, the triple talaq case, and decriminalization of the transgender and homosexuals, that kind of cases you must be aware of. So now let's come to the strategies for which we are here all together, the most important point of our webinar. So while preparing for this seminar, I went through a lot of YouTube videos, which I think are very general in nature, but none of them were very specific that you all can utilize. So I racked up my brain, and going with my experience, I came up with certain ideas I think will become very handy to you. So for preparation point of view, I have divided the strategies on two bases. The strategies that you need to implement before coming to the examination center, that you should be preparing over this 1 month that you have before that you have in your hand before the examination, and the second strategy that you can use during the examination. So first strategy, that is the pre-examination point, is that familiarize, and this is the most important thing. When I said that the exam is easy, I did not, let me make it very clear, I did not at no point intend and mean that you can take it very lightly, you can lay back, chill and relax. No, not at all. But that same time does not mean you have to mug up all the sections. You have to just rely on your understanding of the law and a little bit of smart work. So during this 1 month, what you can do is familiarize yourself with the act. And when I say familiarize, what I mean is understand the structure and the flow of the act. Now, what do I mean by this? All of you must be aware all the acts are not acts, but a section within the act are not randomly placed. It is a particular structure and a purpose they intend to achieve. In that respect, the sections are placed within an act. For example, if we take up an example of CRPC, so CRPC, Criminal Procedure Code, is the Bible for the criminal procedure that needs to follow for attaining the ultimate aim of justice. So this whole setup, Criminal Procedure Code, revolves around setting up of the infrastructure, assigning them power, then the people that are involved and what powers are assigned to them, and how the procedure flows from one fora to another. So if you take up your criminal procedure code, it starts with the definition clause. The definition clause is there to remove all the ambiguities surrounding one particular term or a phrase. Once that is done, it comes, the very next chapter is about setting up of the criminal codes. The criminal codes, after the codes have been set, the infrastructure has been set. Now next chapter comes to the power. Once the infrastructure is assigned, the code assigns them power, and so on and so forth. So during this 1 month time, familiarize yourself with the flow of a particular Bayer Act. Now, once you have understood the flow, the second important thing that you need to do is bookmark your bookmark your Bayer Acts. Now, bookmarking your Bayer Act is a very important thing. It is going to save you a lot of time. Once you read a question and you analyze that this question pertains to particular part of the Bayer Act. So if you have bookmarked your Bayer Act accordingly, you can clearly take out the page directly using your bookmarks, and it will save you a lot of time. It will save you a trouble of going to the index, finding the page, and then turning to that page actually. And the bookmarking thing, that is completely subjective thing. I'll leave it open to you guys. Whichever way you feel comfortable bookmarking your books, go do it. Section wise, chapter wise, particular section, particular concept, whatever way, whatever you are comfortable with. So do this thing. So this finishes off the first part, that is pre-examination preparation, which includes familiarizing yourself with the Bayer Act, and secondly bookmarking. Now second leg of the strategy is during the examination. So during the examination, first of all, keep your all the Bayer Acts ready. Luckily, that reminds me, while I was giving my All India Bar exam, I was assigned the first seat in the row, and I was thinking to myself like, yeah, what the unlucky place that I have been assigned. But it turned out to be my own advantage, because I had a whole room in front of me to keep my Bayer Acts. The first thing I did was took out all my Bayer Acts and spread it across the floor so that I can have an easy access to it. So that you can do. Keep all the books ready in front of you. Whichever question comes, you can take out the book and find your answers. So moving beyond this point, uh, as soon as the exam starts, before that, first and most important thing to keep in mind: don't mark your answers directly in the OMR. Mark your answers first in the rough sheet, and repeating it again for your clarity. Don't mark your answers directly in the OMR, but write it in the rough sheet first. Fill the OMRs only at the end. This is because any cutting, smudge, overwriting can lead to your disqualification. So keep that in mind, and this is a very important point. Second point of the strategy is, as soon as the exam starts, on the rough sheet, write down all the headings of all the major acts, for example, CRPC, Constitution, in one particular line or horizontally, whichever place you feel comfortable, do it. The relevance of it, I'll explain to you shortly, but just do it. All the major acts only, not all the acts, but major acts only. All the 17 acts that I'm talking about: Constitution, CRPC, Transfer Property, Contract, Sales of Goods Act, write all these down. Now, after you are done with this, go through the questions. Go through the questions and don't waste your time thinking whether you know this answer or not. Just approach only those questions, the answers to you are answers to whom you are sure and absolute and certain that you know about. What I mean is, if you don't know the first question, don't put in your brain right now. Leave it. Move on to the second question. If you know the second question, write the answer in the rough sheet to it. Move on to third. If you know the answer, write it in the rough sheet, move on. Else also move on. Don't give too much time, don't spend too much time in thinking at this stage. So once you are done with all the certain questions, I think it will be hardly it will this activity will take hardly 15 to 30 minutes anyway. So let's say 10 to 15 questions have been answered in first half an hour. So now you have 90 questions. In fact, as per our strategy, 58 questions to answer in 3 hours. Suddenly now our time also increases. We have now 4.5 hours, 4.5 minutes in our hand to answer one particular question now. Now, other important thing that you should keep in mind while answering is, while you are doing this step of quickly going through the certain questions, the questions that you certainly know the answers to. Also, keep noting the question that belongs to particular action, particular act under the heading that I told you before. For example, since you have done your activity of writing down all the major acts in your rough sheet, now you're going through the question. Question one is from consti. You don't need answer to mention that question number in front of the constitution. Second is from evidence act. Don't know the answer to mention it in front of the evidence act. Now, to explain what is the benefit you will get is, since the questions are placed randomly, not all questions from one act will be grouped together. The questions are spread across the 100 questions. So at the time when you are referring to one particular act, let's say you take up constitution first. So all the questions that are in respect of constitution are right there in front of you. You don't have to search in your question paper for that. So in one go, you will able to answer all the constitution, all the answers to the constitution, and you'll be saving a lot of effort, saving you a lot of effort from picking up one particular act, then dropping, then picking it again, then dropping it again. A lot of time will be saved. I can easily assure you this activity will save you around 30 seconds. This activity will easily save you 30 seconds. So again, this will advantage in your time that you have in your hand. Now, third, yeah, sure. Yes, Rimsha, I'll repeat again. You remember I told you in the starting that once you have the answer sheet in front of, not answer sheet, but the rough sheet in front of you, the question paper in front of you, and the time starts, write down the heading of each and every question in it, like CRPC, evidence, constitution, CPC, contract. Write down all of it in one sequence. Now, the other thing that I told you is quickly go through the questions and focus only on the questions that you are certain about, that the answers to whom which you are certain about. While doing this activity, you will come across the questions of particular section that you must be knowing that this question belongs to constitution, but you don't know the answer. Since you don't know the answer, write these question number in front of the constitution heading that I told you to write in the heading in the rough paper. Similarly for the other acts. So what happens is all the questions belonging to constitution are right there together in front of you. So once you pick up the question, once you pick up your bare act for constitution, all the questions relating to constitution are right there in front of you. So benefit that you will achieve is, question one is from consti, question two is from evidence. Both questions you don't know. Once you take up the question, once you take up the constitute answer question one, you'll have to pick up evidence after that. Then you will be scrolling through pages for evidence act. You'll find it. Then you keep it back. Then third question from, let's say, constitution again. You'll again pick up the constitution, scroll through the pages, find your answer. So this is a time consuming process. But if all the questions are grouped together under one head, that these questions are there for constitution, you can pick up constitution in one go, and you can pick up constitutions and answer all the questions belonging to constitution in one go. I hope now I make it clear. If yes, please type in yes. Welcome. No problem. So after you have completed this activity, now is the time to look for the judgments. The judgments, because you must be aware of. So please take up the judgments and try to, since you have a lot of time, you can actually dedicate time to thinking about what this particular judgment is. If you know straightforward, good for you. If not, you can give some time to it, but not too much time. If you don't know, just move ahead. There's no point. And huh, after this thoroughly, all I'm talking about till the point that you about these major acts only. I'm talking till this point. All the recommendation are respect of major acts only. Once you are done with this, revise your answers at this very moment. At this very moment, revise all your answers, because I'm assured you must be having a good amount of time in your hands right now by this time. After you are done with the revision, now spread out your focus to the other questions as well. You might be knowing answers to them, you might not be knowing answers to them, but not to worry. As it is said, law is very logical. Since you have time in your hand, read the question, try to figure out what your logic says. Even if you're wrong, there is no harm to it, since there is no negative marking. And if you remember, this will help you long way in remembering a particular concept. So win-win situation for you all the time. Now, again, while giving a thought to one particular subject, don't focus too much on it. If at that moment you don't remember, move on to next question. The purpose of this activity is to go through as many questions as many possible of times as possible, because sometimes a brain is a very tricky thing. uh, Sometimes it does not work at a one particular moment, but once you come back to the same question, your mind will work, it will click. So don't just get stuck to one particular question. There's no point of it losing marks while you can score 5 for the other 5 questions. Okay. And again, keep noting on your rough sheets. I cannot stress upon this point more, but mark answers on your rough sheet only. Once you are thorough, once you are thorough with your question paper, that yes, you have covered each and every aspect thoroughly, now is the time to pick up your pen and mark the OMR sheets. And again, be very careful. Double check before putting in the marks, whether like 1A. So check with the question, yes, 1A is the right answer. We have plenty of time, not to worry. It's better to take time than to be sorry. Okay. And with that, yes, that's all. That is the strategy that I have for you, that I think will help you in long way, save you a lot of time and help you effectively answering all the questions. I hope that was helpful to you all.
Yes, right, sir. So the session is open for Q&A. If anybody has any practical question regarding the preparation and the time management, so they can ask the question from our guest today. Okay, sir. Yes, Shweta, you can get the recording on the channel. So there's this question from Kajal. Sir, she's asking that could you please tell something about the registration process with the State Bar Council, the respective, State Bar Council?
State Bar Council, I'm not sure about the other states, but Delhi Bar Council registration is quite easy. There is a form and all the requisite documents are mentioned in that. And you require a couple of photographs in your professional attire. Uh, you get the relevant documents along with it. And the usually how many days it takes. Just before that, I'll answer that the question. So the all the formalities are clearly mentioned in the form. You can take the form from the Bar Council of Delhi and fill it as soon as possible and submit it. The time it takes, it usually varies. There is no certain answer to it. But if I had to still say, I think 2 to 3 weeks anywhere till you get the confirmation.
Right. Okay. Sir, in our points of discussion, there was this last question which was there, that the importance of important topics of criminal law under
Right, right,
the.
right.
So yeah, could you please throw some light over that?
Sure. See, bar council is concerned with very much the practicality of the issue. So let me just start with the CRPC first. It will help you understand the practical points that might help you. So practically speaking, the most important thing while initiating a criminal prosecution is approaching a police. So let 154 in that respect, I'm sure you must be aware of. No, you are not allowed to carry a rough paper, but you will be provided. I think it will be at the back of the question paper itself, the answer, the rough sheet that you can make use of. So,
Yes.
154 is the section that we are concerned with, as we all know, FIR, First Information Report. So, this is the thing that you must keep in mind. And the important point about FIR is, if the FIR, if the question is where is the FIR defined, and the answer, option given is 154, and none of these. The answer is none of these, because the term FIR is itself has not been defined. It is a legal jargon, you can say, that we are using, but it has not been defined. So answer in such a case will be none of the above. And there was another question I was seeing: can we carry printed materials? Yes, you definitely can, but I'm sure it will be of no use, because mostly questions, as I said, are purely section based, and you can find in the Bare Act itself.
Yes. We have one more question from Vidhi Srivastav in the chat box in the
Yes.
Q&A tab. So she's asking, like, do we need to carry all the barracks mentioned for the exam, as during the present time it would be difficult to procure them all? Like, uh,
Uh,
yes.
if you can carry the printouts of the act, those acts are mostly available on the PDF on the internet, so you can download and get them printed. That will be fine. But barracks, carrying barracks, unless you can mug them all properly, A to Z, uh, definitely barracks are required. In short,
Correct. So we have some more few questions. One question is coming from Shweta. She's asking, like, for studying AIB, do we need to actually go through the barracks thoroughly, or is just if you can share some strategy on that?
yeah. First of all, please, as I said, understand the structure and flow of the Bare Act. For example, if the question comes from I'm talking purely in terms of criminal procedure code right now. If a question comes in respect of a police investigation, so police investigation is covered under chapter 12. So you are aware, if the question is related to investigation, out of 484 sections that are there in CRPC, your task is cut down to mere 20 sections, from 154 to 176. So you don't need to mug the sections, but you must be aware where will you be able to find the answer to this question. And the questions in itself are very easy and very basic questions that we all are aware of. So don't need to stress that much about the sections. I'm sure you'll be able to you'll be able to find those answers, provided you have been aware in the class what's being taught.
Yes. So we have one attendee. So he that attendee is asking, he or she haven't started preparing for the AIB examination. So if you can share a 1 month strategy regarding the same, how it should go.
Not to worry. 1 month is good enough time. Just focus mostly on the major things, uh, like in Hindu Marriage Act, divorce, for example. Divorce is a major. Then in that, maintenance part is important. Similarly, in IPC, you can focus on the murders, culpable homicide, and major offenses, private defense, you can say, and just give me a minute.
Yeah, please.
Uh, Private defense you can focus on, and offenses relating the country, offenses against the state, and you can please be thorough with your difference between that common intention and unlawful assembly, all those aspects, all those concepts. It is a very simple exam, and a simple exam in the sense that the questions that are be asked are not very detailed, but very it is to analyze whether you have a basic overview of the act or not. Yes, any
Yes,
other
correct.
question?
Yes, yes. No, not other question, but a journal question which generally comes up whenever we see any landmark cases.
Hmm.
Am I audible, right?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes. So I'm just asking, either you have that sort of barrack where you have cases mentioned over there, and there is a case
Hmm.
mentioned in the barrack, right? So
Hmm.
how do you track those cases? Like if they ask under which case law this has happened, so what sort of source we should carry for that particular thing? Because I have seen like there are certain amount of questions where they ask case law even in the industrial act or something.
Hmm.
So from where they can keep up that information? If you can
in
please
in
share.
my in my experience, the questions relating to the judgments are very general. Again, I'm sorry, but I might be sounding redundant, but I was, while preparing the questions, I was going through the previous year questions. The judgment questions were quite generic. Like for example, MC, in a couple of them they have asked MC Mehta, and we all know it is relating to environment laws. Similarly, some P. Ratinam Constitution again, and then landmark cases like State versus Govinda. These kind of things, only these kind of questions which are very generic and very celebrated cases. Those only ask. If you refer to the previous year questions, I'm sure you will be able to find certain questions that have been repeated over the time again and again.
Right.
So nothing to worry about. Just do your homework well. Do prepare from the previous year questions. You will find certain questions that have been repeated.
Right. So we have another participant, and she's asking that what should be the strategy regarding the legal maxims which we see in the question paper. So how to prepare for that?
You can make a one particular note of all the major legal maxims, and you can revise once in the morning, once in the evening.
Hmm.
Or after a time being in the practice, I can tell you once most of the things you remember because you have gone through them so many of times. So repetition is the only key. If you go through them once in a morning, once in the evening, it's about 60 times you have been through those legal maxim. By the time you appear for the AIB, you will be able, even if you won't remember it completely, but you will be able to make sense out of this legal maxim yourselves.
Right. Okay, understood. We have one participant with us, Mr. Arjun Raj. He wanted to ask question.
Right,
Yes,
please.
please ask the question.
Please, Arjun, go ahead.
So I wanted to ask, is there any difference of not writing AIB and writing AIB? Because as a lawyer, can you not practice anywhere in India if you have not
Uh,
cleared your AIB?
you can practice, if I'm not wrong, for 2 years only till the validity of your provisional certificate. After that, you are required to clear your AIB if you want to if you want to carry on your practice perpetually.
Okay, so whether that is, can a person as a lawyer not having AIB take on wakalats?
For again, the answer is for 2 years only. After that, you won't.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Not a problem. Anytime, and all the best for your exam.
Right. Okay. So we have any other question if participants have? Else you can add to this webinar. Like if you wanted to
AIB
share. Yes.
Someone is asking exam pattern for 2020 and syllabus. This I've already told. Once the video is out, you can please refer to it.
Right.
It was in the starting of the video that I explained all of it.
Right. Okay. Sure. All right. So I'm just asking if you wanted to add something to this webinar, like the important topics from the criminal law, if you wanted to, from the evidence, IPC, CRPC, if anything important in the end of the session.
Uh, in CRPC, evidence in totality, I'll say a very important subject that you must be aware of. Whether practicing criminal or civil, in both aspects, Evidence Act is inevitable.
Yeah.
So, if possible, if you have time, just go through Evidence Act thoroughly. It will help you a long way. Otherwise, CRPC, please understand the basic things. For example, oh, sorry, yes. Please understand basic things. Example 154, its ingredients. 156.3, another important sections for a practicing advocate. Please read it carefully and be thorough with that. 157 is another important section. 155 as well, and then 161, 161 के बयान, the famous thing, very famous. You must be aware with it. 162, not thoroughly, but have an idea what 162 says. Then 164, 164 के बयान, before magistrate, another important section that you must be knowing. In respect to considering the present scenario, 164 might be relevant. Then skipping all of that and coming directly to 172, diary of proceeding in an investigation, very important thing. And then 173 section, please read it thoroughly. You might get a question from it. Then after this, you can come to section 190, cognizance, another important step in a criminal trial. You must be aware of it. 193, MCQ purpose, this section is very important. Only no court of sessions can be a court of original jurisdiction in terms of a criminal complaint, except for there are exceptions as well. But in general rule, court of sessions cannot be a original jurisdiction. Then 200 is important. Examination of a complainant. Please focus, it is complainant and not complaint. Majority of people do make mistake here. Then 204 and 207, those are both important sections, procedurally and practically speaking. Please understand the concepts of charge from 2011 to 20 yes 223 till 223. From 290 to 223, please be from 211 to 223, please give a careful reading. It is pertaining to charge. There might be a question, so you must be aware where to find it. Then type of question, trials, I don't think so direct question will come from it, but you must be aware there are 4 types of trials: sessions trial, warrant trial, summons trial, and summary trial. So just be aware what type of trial begins from which sections to which section. Please be aware of it. Then after that, 300, section 300, another very important section, very important concept as well. Person once convicted cannot be once convicted or acquitted cannot be tried for the same offense. Or trifois acquit, or trifois convict, very important section. Then practically speaking, 313 is an important section, and 311 is also important section. And after that, there's 320 compounding power to compound an offense of the courts. You must be aware what is compounding, what is the effect of compounding. There might be a question that once the offense has been compounded, whether it amounts to acquittal, whether it amounts to discharge, none of the other. This kind of a question it might come. Then after that, provision chapter 25 provisions to as to accuse persons of unsound mind. It is an important section. They are usually asked in competitive exams, so please be aware of it. Then appeals judgment. Sorry, section 353 judgment. Please study this chapter. It will help you in your practice as well. Then comes the part of appeals. Appeals again is a very important thing, even though it might not come, but it will come handful while you are practicing. So appeals in totality you should read, and please understand. I'd like to take this opportunity to point you section 372. Sometimes they ask the amendment. When was the amendment included? This question is very important because practically explaining, this provision was introduced to assist the victims. Earlier, the right of appeal was usually with the informant, the state, and the accused only. But with this amendment, the right of the victim to prefer an appeal was also introduced. So this is again a very important point that you must take care of. 372. Rest of it you can read it and be aware which under which section which party can prefer an appeal, like 374 appeal against acquittal, 378 sorry, appeal against conviction, and 378 appeal against acquittal. So these things you must be aware of. Then 395 power of reference to the high courts, and 397 power of revision. Which courts? This again can be a very good multiple choice question. Under revision power, which is the court, which court can exercise the revision jurisdiction? Session court, high court, both, none of the above. So the answer in this case will be both of them. High court and sessions court have concurrent jurisdiction. Another question that can come from this is what kind of question cannot in what kind of questions sorry in what kind of cases revision power cannot be exercised. So the answer is against interlocutory orders, the revision power does not lie. So please be mindful of it. And similarly, for your understanding, 399 and 401 important sections that you must be aware of. Then transfer, you can go through for your understanding. Then after this, I think bail section that you must be aware of, primarily 437 to 439. Those are the provisions that are mostly practically point of speaking. These sections are the most important things, and they might come a question or two from these provisions, considering that there are 10 questions of CRPC. And after that, 484 I think is a very important section, the inherent power of the high courts. And I think that will conclude the criminal procedure code. These are the important sections that I think that might come in the questions.
Yes, thank you for sharing important questions from the criminal law course. Participants, if you have any question, otherwise we.
So there was a question by AIB exam from Amazon enrolling. No, not at all. Please don't do that. All the answers, as I'm saying it again, all the questions are very generic in nature, and all the answers are direct questions. sorry, all the questions have direct answers, and those direct answers can be found in the bare act itself. You don't need any special book to prepare for it. It is a complete waste of money. Okay, some other questions, I think that those are for you, Anu, to answer to.
Right.
Any other
Okay.
question?
Anybody has any other question? Please ask.
I think there's one question, discharge of the accused. I told you already ki, during the trial, different type of trials. In these trials itself, you must be aware which trial is referring to. The discharge is covered under the trial section only. So you
Right.
can bookmark those different type of trial for your assistance.
Okay. Uh, yes. A basic question that's coming from Saloni, and she's asking what were the challenges you faced while preparing for the AIB examination.
Okay, the challenges that I faced was that I had to first sit in the front row. I was already very scared, so sitting in the front row itself was very tough. But jokes apart, uh, I found the questions. I think there was no challenge. I'm not taking any credit out of it, and I was not very meritorious student in the class. But the questions I found were very elementary, that if I'm practicing, if I'm getting into the field of law, I must be knowing the answer to these questions. Obviously, not all of them, but at least 40% I easily managed, and rest of them the books are there for you. So in short, no, nothing very serious that I faced that I found difficult, and I won't say that you people should take too much of stress about it. You have already gone through 5 years of torturing through your law schools. That is not torturing, but grilling, you will say. That is more than enough to see through this exam. It is very elementary and very basic. And as I said, the object is to just check that you are aware about the law and not to check your law. For that, you will always have your books with you.
Right. Understood.
Right.
So we have taken all the relevant questions as of now. Now I'll ask my participants to please rate this particular webinar. Also provide your feedback with us. Please rate this particular webinar from 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest. You can share your feedback with us. And yes, one more announcement. Yes, though it's a very easy examination, but still if you wanted to do some smart work, so we at Law Seek have started with our, AIB bar hacker course. So you can go and check that out. If that is useful for that for any one of you, you can kindly enroll for that for the same. Another thing, the people who were asking about this recording and everything, those who have missed this session, of course, after 4 5 days, this session will get uploaded on the YouTube itself. So there you can go and check that out. It will be very helpful for you. So now I'll sign off. And in the end, if you wanted to add something for the attendees who are preparing for AIB examination, any piece of advice you wanted to give?
Sorry, I missed the last part.
Yeah, I'm just asking in the end of the session, you wanted to add something for those attendees who are preparing for the AIB examination. Any
I
kind of piece of advice you wanted to give? Yeah.
All I'll say, there is no advice. All I'll say is welcome. I'm already welcome you all into the fraternity, and I'm all welcome you already as lawyers. I'm sure you'll all make it through. I'm positive about all of you. That's all I'll say. No recommendations.
Right. Thank you so much. Indeed, it was very insightful session and detailed one, I would say. And also you shared the practical, advantages and disadvantages of the examination. That
Right.
was very good. And I would say that was very different from other, who shared the strategies and everything. And I believe that participants also might have got something. So yes, one student we have,
Hmm.
attendee Shweta. She's asking for email if you can share with her.
Sure. Please write it down. Attorney ATTORNEY dot Goel GOEL at gmail.com.
Right.
And I'll take this opportunity to thank you, Anu, first of all, for being such a nice host, and Law Seco for giving me, for first of all approaching me, and secondly for giving me this opportunity to conduct this webinar and interact with all of you lovely people. It was a nice session, and it was one of the most thrilling experience for me. I'll call it thrilling because yes, conducting webinars, it is always thrilling, I'll say. Yes.
Right. Thank you for your kind words for Losik and me, of course. So now I'll sign off. We have covered all the relevant questions and everything. So thank you for joining again, and thank you participants for joining. Stay home, stay safe. Now I'll sign off. Webinar executive Anu Bhatnagar. Thank
Right.
you,
Thank you
everyone.
all, and all the best to you, all of you.